like Deadliest Warrior, Bar Rescue. He also had a show called 1000 Ways to Die. If you've never seen that show, it's pretty easy to imagine what it's about. It's a collection of shorts depicting different ways that a person could die. Some of them were inspired by real events, but most of them were just 100% made up. Like this one.
Oh my god, my fart killed you!
And look, that's obvious to a 28-year-old, but to a 12-year-old, oh my god. I believed everything I fucking saw on television, because I was 12.
I was an old 12-year-old.
I believe fucking everything, okay? To me, the show Ripley's Believe It or Not, why'd they call it that? Should have just called it Ripley's Believe It. Because I did. Also, yeah, why did they call that show Ripley's Believe It or Not when they showed like real, actual footage of like people doing like sort of impressive things, right? I looked up that show on YouTube and there's a segment where a young kid could just name any car that he saw.
I have salesmen that don't even know as much as he knows about cars.
Here's the ram and Altima.
Like someone would ever watch this segment and be like, nah man, I don't buy it. I don't believe it. This kid is not who he says he is, okay? I hope he can recognize a cop car. Yeah, because he's going to jail for treason. Sorry. Back to 1000 Ways to Die. In season 1, episode 3 of 1000 Ways to Die, one of the ways to die featured a man taking a handful of mushrooms and then stumbling upon a furry orgy in the middle of the desert. And this aired in like 2008. So a lot of people like didn't know what furries were at that point. They weren't really mainstream. So they had to explain it to everybody. And here's how they did it.
What's a furry? People who like to put on animal costumes and get together for fun things like group sex.
And you're probably wondering how this guy dies. Well, let me tell you. So this guy tries to get in on the orgy and he keeps being denied. So he goes to have sex with a person in a bear suit, but it turns out it was a real bear. And he gets mauled to death. Yeah.
And this is a bear ripping out your throat after you tried to have sex with it.
So this was mine and a lot of other people's first introduction to furries. And for the next 10 years of my life, my understanding or lack thereof of the furry fandom did not change because this was Spike TV, right? They wouldn't lie to me. They wouldn't blow smoke up my ass. They blow fire out of it. But what is a furry really? A furry can be many things. They could be an artist, a writer, a fursuit creator, a gamer, a performer. But to boil it all down, a furry is someone who has created an anthropomorphized animal character for themselves, or a fursona, as they call it. And maybe they draw this fursona doing various activities, you know, maybe they write stories about this fursona. But obviously the thing that everybody thinks of when they hear the word furry are the people who build or hire someone to build themselves a whole like fursuit of their fursona. And why do they do this? Why would you pretend to be an animal? Being a human is so fucking sick, right? I love having opposable thumbs and using them to pay my fucking taxes every year and mowing my lawn and going to Walmart. I love it, dude. Honestly, I get it. Being a human sucks balls like 90% of the time. Dude, every single day, I look at my dog, like whenever he's napping or something, and I'm like, dude, the things I would do to be my dog for a day, just a day. No responsibilities, I can run around and shit and piss on my neighbors' yards, and I get served 2 square meals a day and a bunch of little treats? Sign me up. I'll get my butt sniffed. I do not give a shit. And obviously there's varying degrees of like fursuits and fursonas. Maybe someone just got fucking ears on, or maybe someone has just a tail. But yo, the high quality fursuits, holy shit. It is not cheap, man. I did a little bit of Googling, and like a high quality like full fursuit costs like thousands of dollars. This person, Lemon Brat, makes really high quality fursuits and they start at $5 grand. That's fucking crazy, dude. Furries are not what the media portrays them as, dude. They're not these like weird like social outcast people or whatever. They're fucking ballers, man. Like you gotta be rich as fuck to be a furry, man. Could you imagine like, you know, you're walking down the street and like someone in a sick fucking like sports car, like a Jaguar, you know, pulls up beside you and then they step out and it's an actual Jaguar? Wouldn't be far off, man. Next time you see a nice car, that person is a furry. But again, why would they do this, right? Why dress up in a big fursuit? But the more I think about it, it would probably be a lot of fun, right? Think of any mascot ever. That's a furry. Sorry to break it to you. Every mascot is a furry, okay? If you like sports, you like furries. You just do. And mascots have so much fun. You ever seen them? They're always having the most fun. They can run around and dance and, you know, and cause mischief and mayhem. And no one cares. No one calls them weird because that's their job. But no, when I do it at the fucking Toronto Raptors games at the fucking Scotiabank Arena, they chase me down the court with the Benny Hill music playing. I'm running away from them and they always catch me and they grab me by my shirt and my pants and they toss me out of the venue and fucking dust off their hands cartoon style. It's embarrassing. So I get the appeal, I really do. But Ripley's believe it or not, furries actually predate mascots. They also regularly date them as well. But no, when I was researching the origins of the furry community, I stumbled upon a video from Frederick Knudsen. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but it was called Furries Down the Rabbit Hole. And that's the name of the series that they do on their channel. But hey man, maybe change it this one time. For this topic, maybe we could have picked a different name. I don't think we should be going down any rabbit's hole. But this video did a good job of diving into the origins of the furry fandom. In the video, they claim that it started in the underground comics movement in the 70s, and the Wikipedia for furry fandom corroborates that as well. Is that the right word? It is. It also says that some members of the furry fandom attribute the origins to Kimba the White Lion. But honestly, dude, I mean, I have no knowledge of this at all, but I think it goes back even further. Listen, okay? Viking warriors used to wear the skin of bears in battle. You're gonna look at this photo and tell me this guy isn't a furry?
Vikings were furries, change my mind.
Sure, somewhere in Scandinavia, there was an Uwu clan that nuzzled their enemies to death. Look it up. But as time went on, and as the internet grew in popularity and accessibility, more and more people were learning about this furry fandom. And it got to the point where people were actually hosting the very first furry convention in 1989. And that's the beauty of the internet, man. Bringing like-minded people together who never even knew other people like them existed in the first place. Like, it almost makes you think, what would the world be like if the internet started sooner? Like, could you imagine if there was the internet back in like the 1500s? I think the Mona Lisa would look a little different. And of course, it was not hard to find a Mona Lisa as a furry. All I had to do was Google it. I got hundreds of results. Not bad. And ever since that first convention in '89, the furry population has been growing ever since. But obviously, once something that people don't understand becomes popular enough to be in the mainstream, this is when we get some criticism. Yeah, we're changing the topic a little bit. With the rise of cringe culture between 2014 and 2016, the amount of furry hatred on the internet was substantial. All you have to do is search furry cringe compilation on YouTube and you'll have enough content to last you a fortnight. And as much as cringe compilations are just straight up bullying, some of the videos I have seen of furries are inherently cringe. You know, I'm not gonna deny that, even if Seth Rogen approves of them. Like the videos of furries at like their house or like a convention, you know, just going about their day. I don't have a problem with those, of course, because, you know, that's like a totally normal, acceptable place to do whatever the fuck you want. But like all the videos of furries going to like stores and like just bugging minimum wage employees, yeah, that's the worst shit I've ever seen, I think. Like, do whatever you want, you know, I don't care, but hey, maybe let's leave the Dollar Tree employee alone. Just a thought. Dude, like imagine working a minimum wage cashier job just to put some fucking food on the table, to put yourself through college or something, and then some fucking asshole in a 6'5" fucking fox costume that cost $10,000 starts just fucking poking you. Oh my god, that Dollar Tree would be the start of a forest fire, because I'd fucking burn it to the ground. Again, if it was like an actual fox doing that, adorable. But there's a person in there. There aren't just like 8 foxes stacked on top of each other in a fursuit, you know? There's a person in there and they know better. What does the fox say? Sorry, I hope it says sorry. But regardless, I feel like the majority of furry hatred is directed towards their very existence. You know, not at the things they do or who they are as individuals or the beliefs that they have. So many people boil down just the existence of them as cringe. Which begs the real question I wanted to answer in this video. Are furries cringe? To answer that question, we need to know what cringe is. Webster's dictionary defines cringe as... What? It's tough to define cringe in like the modern age, but I think the act of cringing, like that emotion, it's a very introspective emotion, I think, because we often cringe the most when we think about the